Now, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps the latest Counter-Strike Global Offensive update has just come out of all time, and that is of course being at 11:40 p.m. Central Time. And CSGO updates tend to happen anywhere from 5 to 7 p.m. And of course, on top of all that, they usually happen on a Tuesday, not a Wednesday, which this has actually occurred on. But there's actually a lot of interesting stuff that I think could change up the market, how people are investing into CS, and of course, your current investments in the game. That's what we're talking about, breaking down the update. And the biggest thing to note from this patch is of course the reduced M4A1-S magazine size to 20 bullets with 80 in the reserve. So it's reducing a lot of the extra ammo you have in the M4A1-S and putting a lot less in your magazine. So this is kind of going back to a 2015 M4, and that's what we're going to be taking a look at in today's video. But without further ado, and before we hop into the commentary, here's a quick word from our video sponsor, Skins Monkey.
Hi you, yes you. Would you like to get $5 for free for your first trade? Just use skinsmonkey.com and get your extra skins. See description below to enjoy the special promotion and receive 5% cashback for trading your CSGO skins.
So of course, Valve has recently tweeted out on June 15th, 2022. I said Aztec in the first tweet, and I think they were kind of just trolling some people who thought Aztec was going to get added. And they said today we are shipping changes to DE Ancient, reducing the magazine size of the M4A1-S, adjusting bomb explosion radiuses on Inferno, and more. And going into the patch notes, the biggest thing to note is of course the M4 nerf, which I'm already seeing people kind of get scared of their investments in the M4 and hoping the M4A4 thrives, and we're also going to be checking that out right now. So hopping on in game here with the M4A1-S, we're going to be looking at some targets. There's obviously 80 in the reserve and 20 in the mag, and we're going to do some tests on some bots to see how many people we can take out. And of course, we're going to be doing some body shots because I don't feel like everyone can hit the head all the time, but with the M4A1-S, it's a little different. So we're going to be taking a look, and it's still, not too bad. And usually you were able to kill 4 or 5 people maybe with one mag if you were decent with your aim, and now it seems to be that it's only going to be like 3 roughly, like 3, and maybe if you're really lucky with headshots and of course with really good aim, you're going to be able to maybe get 4 with one mag. But people are wondering what I feel about this just right after the update in Discord and whatnot, and it doesn't really seem like it's changed that much. I still feel like this is going to be the weapon that most people are going to use, but I feel like the pros are going to be really split like how they were a few years ago with the M4A4 and the M4A1-S, which one is going to be better, and that's what a lot of people are going to be looking into in the next few weeks to see how the market's going to grow with these things. So obviously my thoughts on this right away, the M4, it's obviously gotten nerfed with the magazine size, but I don't really think it's that big of a deal. The only downside, of course, to this nerf is one, you're not going to be able to spray and pray like you were before. With 25 in the magazine, you were able to do a lot more before. Spam smokes, spam headshots, spam juggle peekers, if they were going to peek a corner really quickly, maybe get some more map info, but just by spamming stuff. And with this update now, I don't think you're going to see as many people either equip this, but I think more so people are just going to play the game a little differently, especially on the CT side, which is going to make things a lot more interesting as a viewer, especially someone who's streaming, or most importantly, like a major, for an example, which this is going to be very interesting to see how this affects upcoming tournaments. So I think depending on the player, it's really going to benefit and also hurt other players. So if you want to spam stuff, that's what it's going to take away from. And I think people are now going to use the M4A4 in certain situations and scenarios. Maybe they're a pusher, they like to clear corners, they like to check smokes, and this is what people are going to use it for, is of course to do that exactly. And the M4A4 is still not bad. It's just the M4A1-S, it is silenced, of course. It does the most damage in the game, of course, out of any gun besides the AWP, which that's something to keep in mind. They never reduced the damage, they didn't reduce the fire rate, all they did was reduce the magazine. So there's not a whole lot that happened with that update specifically. So right away, looking at the M4A4 sales on the market, especially for something like the Asimov, they have sold at, for an example, at field tested, $130 roughly. And this is obviously not the easiest graph to look at because this is just the past day and this has happened literally 5 minutes. These weapons now are over $160, about $150, which is pretty high for this. This is, I think, FOMO at its finest at this point in time. And of course, looking with one of the most popular M4s in a case that's been very popular, that's blown up in price recently, that being the Broken Fang case, but inside that it has the M4A1-S print stream. This on the market really hasn't done too much. I think these have kind of just leveled out at the exact same price they're at right now. So far, no crash, just being 30 minutes after recording this, or the update came out anyway. Still about $110, $12 for a field tested one. The reason I'm not doing something like factory new or minimal wear is because I feel like most people are going to use something like this. It's going to be a lot easier for people to obtain as well because it's a little cheaper, budget entry, higher tier M4 skin. But I feel like something like this, for an example, is going to be extremely well for some people because it is something like the red line in the slate, for an example, which I feel like this is always going to be that kind of sticker craft weapon for the CT side. Now we can see at this moment in time that people aren't really selling their A1Ss. People are buying M4A4s, and this could be for many reasons. People obviously don't want to fear of selling their M4 extremely low, especially if they bought it at a very high price recently, which that could be a very deep understanding of that. And a big question I know we're going to receive is, should you buy into an M4A4 at this moment in time? And my quick answer is going to be no. If you didn't a couple months ago, or even a couple weeks ago when we've talked about it on Mando Monday and in recent videos, your kind of opportunity for that right now anyway is kind of gone. You're going to be buying into a FOMO and a fake hype, at least for the next couple weeks or so, until we get a good understanding of what tournaments and teams are going to be attending that, and what obviously pros are going to be using, like people in Navi, Cloud9, FaZe Clan, for an example. What are they going to be using? And the public's going to relate that quite a bit to their game, and I think that's going to affect a lot of things. And like how we talked about earlier, it's really going to depend on the player. So I don't know if this is going to affect prices a whole lot in the long run, just because some players are going to be using the M4A4, some players are going to be using the M4A1-S. I still feel like it's a very good weapon on the CT side, but of course, only time will tell. Let me know what you guys think of this update down below. I know a lot of people have been wanting this recently. I myself haven't really cared all too much. I haven't really even been playing the game, but I did notice when I was in the past couple months that this was extremely overpowered anyway, that you could just spam smokes. And that now that that's gone, I think it's going to create more opportunities for people on the CT side, but also the T side, and of course, investors. And I'll update you guys on some prices in the next couple of days and see how FOMO plays into that. But once again, I would not buy into this fake hype at this moment in time. There's not really a reason to. If you have something like the Broken Fang case, which I think probably will go down, which it already has, about 7 to 8 cents. If you want, you can capitalize in selling right now if you bought it at a very cheap price, or maybe at the operation price, just to get your profit. And like I've talked about recently, sell right now. It's a decent opportunity. You're making a very large ROI, and of course a really good investment. But there comes a point though where you shouldn't buy into FOMO, and of course shouldn't sell your items at such a low point. You should just wait until they go back up, because just like the M4A1-S getting nerfed, it could just get easily as buffed in the future. These things go back and forth and have been going back and forth for years. Let me know what you guys think. Stay positive, stay sexy. I'm out, guys. Peace.